Welcome to Keep On Wrenching, everybody. Today we are working on the 1966 CB160, and we are going to de-rust the interior of the gas tank today. And what we've got here is a pretty straight tank with just some messy paint from the 1966 CB160. I went ahead and picked up 3 bottles of distilled white vinegar. That should be enough to fill up the tank. And yeah, these were about $4 a crack. Just taking a look at the exterior of it, I'm wondering how bad the paint actually is on this. This actually looks like some sort of a chippage. There's red paint underneath this discoloration here. Might try and clean this up here in a bit. But what we're really after today is looking inside of the tank, and you can see looks like just a lot of like surface rust, right? It doesn't look too bad on the inside. So this white vinegar should be able to knock this out. Before we get going too deep, it's always a good idea to just kind of shake the tank out and get as much debris out of this thing as you possibly can. There's quite a bit of stuff coming out of this thing right now. Just upon a few shakes, that's what came out of the tank. Let's go ahead and clean this mess up. I think I got most of the stuff out of the tank. The other thing you're going to want to look for is you're going to want to plug off any kind of crossovers. Your tank's probably going to have some crossovers on it. So good idea to do is just to grab some hose clamps and some hose, a bolt, and plug these crossovers. Essentially, these connect together and they wrap around the frame. So you want to make sure you seal those off. And then this one's got a screw-mounted petcock on it right here. So I'm just going to leave that in place, and I'm just going to make sure that I've got it in the off position. That should be off. Yep, stop right here. So I'm good there, all right? As long as the petcock seals inside, we should be good to fill the tank. I'm going to go ahead and block up my tank so it's nice and level, preferably tilting towards the front end if I can. I want to get that up off the surface and get it as level as we can. We want to get this tank absolutely as full as we can get it with the white distilled vinegar. All right, let's hop online real quick and do a little bit of research. The 1966 CB160 has a fuel capacity of 2.8 gallons. And if you have the CL variant, it's a little bit lighter with a 2.5 gallon tank, all right? So glad I grabbed 3 gallons. Let's go ahead and crack open one of these white distilled vinegar bottles. And there's no seal on this, so I guess we can go straight into the tank. And this is one of those times in my life that I wish I had a funnel. I can't find it. So let's just go ahead and dump this in. We're going to go slow at first, and we're going to watch for any leaks out on the table. Hopefully everything stays nice and dry. And aside from where I spilt, looks like everything's staying nice and dry under there. And we're getting real close now. I'm going to go all the way to the top, as close as I can get. And unfortunately, we got a problem. It looks like our tank has sprung a leak. So I'm going to quick grab my super siphon, and I'm going to have to start pulling out this vinegar. Love these super siphons. They work really, really great to get fluid out of things quick. So I left about a half a gallon in the tank, and I'm trying to see if I can just pinpoint where it's coming from. You can see it's coming right from there, right at that seam. It's like up underneath here. I feel like we may have found the culprit right in here. Let's see if I can get in here. Hole. Hard to tell whether or not that's a hole. I'm going to do a quick little light test just to see if we can see. I'm going to take my little flashlight and I'm going to go on the inside of the tank, and we're going to see if we can see any kind of action happening there. So let me turn off the light. Ooh, hold up. So, just keeps getting better and better. Let's put the light in the tank. Look at that. Right there. We got holes in our tank, ladies and gentlemen. That's one I didn't even see. I think there's still one down below too, but that's right on the top. So I think that's the culprit. I'm wondering if it was just leaking through here and dripping down. So I'm going to actually fill the tank again, because it didn't start leaking until I started getting pretty high up on the tank level, or on the gas, or on the vinegar level. So I'm wondering if that's all it is. If that's it, that's not that big of a deal. That can get welded up, I think. But I'm going to do a real close inspection. But I'm going to fill it up again and just see. Let's confirm that. All right, so I'm almost a full gallon in, and I don't see any leaks coming from this area. So I'm wondering if it was just dripping down here. Let me grab one more bottle, and we'll try this. And I'm going to zoom in for you so you can really see this. It should be momentarily. Oh, I can see some glistening in the hole there. Is that our culprit? Come on, show yourself. There it comes, right there. Boom. Yep, and it was dripping down just like that. So there it is. There's our hole in that tank. Yeah, so needless to say, that's a big bummer, but at least I know, right? And I don't think I have any other issues going on. So I think the next thing is I need to rinse this out with water and baking soda to neutralize the acid in the vinegar while I get this figured out. So what I got here is just some baking soda. I'm going to probably take, I don't know, quite a bit. I'm going to put quite a bit in the tank, fill it with water, and then rinse it out really, really, really well. I guess when in doubt, dump it out, right? So let's go ahead and I'm just going to do about that much. I've already rinsed out the tank with water, etc. And I'm just going to dump this into the tank and then fill it with water and just rinse, 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 because I don't want to keep that vinegar. I don't want any residue of the vinegar in this thing, because that's going to just eat away at some of this stuff even more. All right, so we got the baking soda in there. I'm just going to start filling this up with water. And I'm going to rinse, 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 rinse. And then we'll do one last little number on it too. I'll probably fog the inside of it. Well, I probably don't want to do that if I'm going to be welding it, right? Ugh. Here we go. Another project. I can keep on wrenching. Yeah, now it's just a matter of shaking this thing out. And I'll give it a few good rinses with water. And then reassess the situation, I guess. All right, I feel good about that rinse out. So I'm going to go ahead and put my heat gun on low. And I'm just going to let this ride for a little while. I'm going to dry out this tank. It's going to flash rust. I don't think there's really anything I can do about that at this point. I don't want to put like any like fogging oil or WD-40 or anything in there, because we're going to do some welding on this tank, I think. All right, feel like I got that dried off pretty good. So let's see. Yeah, really, we improved it so much, but you can see how it already is flash rusted quite a bit. Yeah. But man, what an improvement just that little waiting period was. Like that vinegar wasn't in there in 5-10 minutes. Yeah, so obviously things did not go as planned today, right? But man, that happens all the time. So don't let these things derail you. I'm going to work really hard not to let this derail me. But I want to talk about a couple things here real quick. And I want to go and see, like, let's see, let's say I have to replace the tank, right? This stuff is not cheap at all. So let's just go to eBay. Here's a used tank right here. And let's just see what kind of pops up here, price-wise. So here's one. And now there's no guarantees that there's not going to be holes in some of these as well. But here's one for $200. All right, CB160 tank looks pretty clean on the inside. Ours looks better than that does, right? But man, those little pinholes that we experienced right in here, that was like game over for us. So $200, okay? So we're looking at $200. Here's one for $90, okay? This one actually has the badges and stuff. This one's dinged up a little bit, but I have covers. Comes with the petcock. Now, really, when you're looking at this stuff, look really closely at these edges, man. You got to do some investigation, you know, to make sure that these things are tight. Read the let's read the, where's the description on these things? I hate that they bury these down so far. Description, 60 CB160, may fit other years, parts received in batch of loose parts, done our best to identify it. Has a repair patch on the back, but tank is untested for leaks, no other holes. So it's untested, right? So $91. So you might spend $91. You might spend $91 for this tank and end up right where you are, or maybe in an even worse scenario, right? So there's people already, it's in two people's carts already. So, yeah. So kind of the hunt kind of begins. Now here's this ridiculous one. If I just wanted to like bypass all trauma in my world, here it is, $740, repainted Petro tank. Let's take a look at the description here. Brand new, unused, unopened, undamaged. All right, it's in India. All right, so yeah. I mean, that's what we want, but too bad we got those leaks in it. Now, they can be repaired, but I also want to really caution you. I mean, most welders will not touch a gas tank in any way, shape, or form, even if there hasn't been gas or anything in it for decades and decades and decades. So welding on gas tanks, definitely not something you really want to get into. I don't know. I'm going to have to really noodle this, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. The other option would be to do some sort of a sealer. So let's take a look at that option here real quick. So I do have this can of Red Coat, and I've had this stuff since my first build in like 2018. I hope it's still good. I don't know if this stuff expires or not, but this is a tank liner that you can basically pour inside of the tank to seal off any of those holes. Once you go with a tank liner, that tank is pretty much stuck with that tank liner forever. So I would rather find a better solution to that. But this is an option, and maybe, again, this build might be one of the first times that I go this route. I don't know. We'll see. At the end of the day, I'd love all of your thoughts on this. Man, this I was getting really fired up for this project, and here it is. Here it is. You know, you run right out of the gate and you run into a stumbling block, but it's not the end of the world. I can fix it one way or another. I'm definitely not going to be spending $740 on a new tank. But maybe I do a little bit more research and I find a $100 tank, a $200 tank, you know, something like that. But anyway, what else do I need to say? Oh, I should probably tell you, if we wouldn't have had a leak, I would have probably left that vinegar in the tank for about 2 days. And I would walk by every few hours or so, or a couple times a day at least, shake the tank really, really well, just try to agitate things. But usually leave the vinegar in for a couple of days, dump it, inspect it, see if you got to do another round of it or not. But typically it's like maybe a 2-3 day kind of a process on the vinegar in the actual tank. And then you can, again, use the baking soda to neutralize the vinegar. Once you get it all rinsed out nice and clean, I would go ahead and use some fogging oil or something like that. Let me show you that real quick before I jump off. So something like this would work really well. It's just something that you could spray inside and just kind of mist all the metal on the inside of the tank. This fogging oil would be something to do. Now, alternatively, you could also, once you get it all clean, you get it all dry, just fill the tank with gas and put it on the shelf, right? Just leave it until you're ready to install it on the bike. That's usually what I do, is I just fill them with gas, put them out in my garage, and just let them sit there and wait for installation day. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. Head on over to keeponwrenching.com. Get yourself that free sticker. And also, if you want to support the channel, hit the links on the site. All right, we got the Amazon store, we got merch, we got all kinds of cool stuff. So I'm gonna keep trucking. We're gonna move past this and on to other projects because there's a lot going on with that bike right there, and we are just getting started. We'll see you in the next video or live stream.